그럼 당연히 내가 같이 가야지. 근데 혹시 좀 늦더라도 꼭 기다려야 돼. 알았지?
Bungee Jumping of Their Own, released in 2001, directed by Kim Dae-sung and screenplay Koen Lim, as their debut project, which surprised me.
죄송하지만 저기 버스 정류장까지만 좀 씌워주시겠어요?
Soft chatter and raindrop layered with a slow soundtrack. This is why when I'm doing my annual rewatch, I could easily sit and watch. Especially with that low shutter speed shot while the main character is waiting for the female lead. Let's talk about the main theme of the film, which is reincarnation and their perception of love. Of course, with the cons regarding the unethical dynamic and gender diverse relationship. And the setback, the jump. We know the reason why their love or bond is so strong because of first love. Here's the thing. In Asian or especially Korean cinema rendered around first love trope. Even the simplest plot twist in drama like turns out their childhood friend that are break apart and that love grows as they met in the future. This can support the idea of the theme in Bungee Jumping of Their Own. Supports with the latter scene where Tae handed to Inwoo as her first love devotion, as in, this guy is the one, I'll never get this letter back. And of course Inwoo, he's completely a gullible loser, the way he acts around Tae or women in general. Though the timeline of the movie is in a disoriented order, we can assume that Inwoo and Tae at the first act of the film. In this phase is essentially focused on their evolving bond by time, so we grow a chemistry towards the character, notably their relationship. Additional remarks, the power of symbolism in this movie is critical. Of course, the Pinky Finger Wonder, Tae or Hyunbin's interest in art, and even the smallest conversation narrated in the first act will resemble on the second one.
마음이 뜨겁거든. 징글징글하지?
This act is in the future, the rising action of the main character himself, March 2000, which is roughly about 17 years after the first act. Seo Inwoo now became a homeroom teacher of Hyunbin, oddly reminiscent of his bygone lover in Tae. It starts casually as we as a viewer had nothing to wonder about except for Tae suddenly gone from the story with little to no explanation. We get emotionally stretched, such as Inwoo's strained movement, the nervous phone call, him staring at Hyunbin from the teacher's room to the basketball court, until Hyunbin's drawing of his girlfriend that took Inwoo on a trip down memory lane. They got the same interest, art. Longing actions or questions Hyunbin asks precisely parallel with Tae. Like I said, pay attention to the first act, y'all.
숟가락은 디귿받침이에요?
누구야?
Before we proceed, I already gave you a soft approach on the small detail of the movie. Now, the significance of symbolism breakdown as well as clarifying the downsides. Seo Inwoo, there's a lot to break down in terms of the questionable action he did and how he grooms or executing domestic violence towards his wife or basically people around him. First and foremost, I'm not here to justify his negative aspect but to give a clear understanding on his character's arc. Resemblance which Hae-in whole anticipation. Him hiccuping when doing the 3-leg race with Hyunbin, the latter scene, then after he saw Hyunbin having the pinky magic he left for Tae. All lingering doubt he had all the time. That's the end of it all. I bet he's firmly believe on the idea that that's Tae, which after all that buzz led to Hyunbin confronted him. His little faith inside him shatters and answered at the same time. I feel him doing the non-con to his wife is to validate all of his epiphany towards Hyunbin. Like, I'm not gay, right? During the early 2000s in South Korea, homosexuality was still heavily stigmatized and often misunderstood. It was not uncommon for LGBTQ+ identities to be viewed as psychological issues or even curable conditions, which is why he visited a medical professional for it. no, he did not groom Hyunbin. Hyunbin gained his awareness and realized that he's Tae all by himself. Of course, with a little push by Inwoo's act previously, but when he's cycling frantically to the station, which is another symbol, like subtle thread of their relationship, they got separated there and back being together there too. Head note, in the film shows that Inwoo did not engage any physical or sexual acts towards Hyunbin. Well, I'll assume only emotionally. The unethical dynamic. Student and a teacher, age gap, and the gender. Okay, now why I think these are not the weakness nor limitation. The idea of impossible love to achieve is rather romantic. Hold on, what if I said Hyunbin is a grown woman? Note, grown and a woman. Sorry, what? They can just date right away. People be hating with the grooming situation on why they chose and are using underage boy for his significant other. For me, that's the main point. It's more tragic to think about it rather than having socially acceptable relationship. There's no obstacle to try for their love if they portray it that way. Before we're talking about the principal concern, let's jump to the third act. This part is so devastating. After all this time, he faced Hyunbin and having a whole emotional meltdown in front of him.
태희야, 왜 어째서 넌 날 조금도 기억하지 못하니? 난 널 이렇게 느끼는데, 널 이렇게 알아보는데.
On the other hand, the whole world turns against him. Outcast by the whole school, which makes their relationship sounds more impossible to accomplish. The wife confrontation is like a knife which was already stabbed deep enough and now it's twisted inside.
아니, 태희.
누구? 태희? 당신 미쳤구나.
미안해. 정말 미안해. 근데 나도 어쩔 수가 없어.
Now they both numb. On Hyunbin's side, which that was his motivation towards his girlfriend, it's now hollow. Same as Inwoo, lying in that dull room like his deathbed for days. The realization for both of them, it's way more satisfying because there's no motivation, drive, nor contact for them to reconcile. They're incomplete meeting.
그럼 당연히 내가 같이 가야지. 근데 혹시 좀 늦더라도 꼭 기다려야 돼. 알았지?
왔구나.
미안해. 너무 늦었지.
여기서 뛰어내리면 죽을까요?
저 아래 뛰어내리면 어떨까?
The bittersweet smile in was half when Hyunbin putting Tae.
아니, 뛰어내려도 끝이 아닐 것 같아.
The whole shot of this part is so captivating. Take a look on a little detail here. Inwoo drank. It seems like an alcoholic drink, whilst Hyunbin's not. This again portray and reminding us as a viewer on their age difference. This is just my assumption, whatever. Nar, di, chum. This may spark a lot of cons and contrasts, saying that it's irresponsible or rather dumb. Now, if we view it as a metaphor for their love, as in love despite of what we all had or have in this world, I would die for it just to be with you. In this case, they both have a whole family. As in Inwoo's and Hyunbin had a girlfriend. They still did it primarily with their motivation on how they will both born again. But if they actually did jump, hot takes, I will still defend the main purpose. Spare me. They had a jump because their romance are doomed. Each time they realize they had zero desire for their past flames. As in, if I'm not in love right now, I'm basically killing myself or my soul slowly. They will both born again so they can be reunited. Complete
이번엔 여자로
yearning for their
태어나야지.
love affair.
근데 나도 여자로 태어나면 어쩌지?
그럼 또 사랑해야지 뭐.
Notable recognition for the wrap-up for this essay is obviously the jump shot, voiceover conversation as the credit scene rolled up with the distressing soundtrack.
그리고 행복한 건 나